That's true. It's like they might have to have separate beds. Like I thought we could share the same bed. I don't know if they're going to
There you go, yeah.
Just had a 39th birthday.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Some of those, I mean, yeah.
My sister, many years later, she was a nurse there, and she looked at my records and she said, Mom, did you have any trouble with his breathing or anything? And I said, no. You don't have to be a real problem.
Get back into our Let's Go Bible study, and let's start with prayer. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together and for celebrating your victorious entry and triumphal entry into Jerusalem. We pray that you would help us to listen, love, and lead people to you, our victorious King. Amen. How do you respond to the church is full of hypocrites? Someone were to say that to you. Yeah? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we all are. This section is about listening, and we are going to talk about how to listen actively and some advice for sharing our faith, starting with listening. Thanks.
And discuss this question, then resume the video. I actually hope what you would say is, what do you mean by a hypocrite? At a certain point, you may transition to another question that you can ask in different ways. For example, how have you come to think this way? Or, how have you reached this conclusion? This is where their story may begin to slowly unfold right in front of you. As it turned out, in the conversation I'm remembering, I thought the man and I had come to a good understanding of hypocrisy. I explained that Jesus himself agrees with the man, and that Jesus is more bothered than he is by the bad fish among the good, and by the weeds among the wheat, as Jesus put it. But we were still somehow not getting anywhere. As a reason to deny the truth of Christ, something wasn't making sense. That is, until I happened to stumble on the active listening skill called reflecting feeling. Just for a moment, I stopped dealing with his spoken objections and noticed the strong emotion on his face and in his voice. I said something like, "Bill, I understand what you're saying and I'm agreeing with you, but you seem so angry." And he replied, "You're blank, right, I'm angry," and proceeded to tell me about the death of his father and the cruelty he felt he'd experienced at the hands of devout believers. The conversation didn't suddenly become easy, but we had at least begun to have the right conversation, and it was about something else entirely. What do you say about the charge of hypocrisy? How about, what do you mean by that? And why do you think that's true? Because I really want to know. Have you ever experienced a time when you asked someone what they meant by what they said, and their answer surprised you? Please pause the video and take a few minutes to share such an experience with the others in your group.
So we are on lesson 2. And video segment 2. In your packet, you have all 3 of the listen lessons. So lessons 1, 2, and 3, those are from our listening unit. And so this morning, we are reviewing just a little bit. I'm backing us up because it's been a few weeks since we got together. So we're on video segment 2. All right, are there any questions? Okay, recall a time when you asked someone what they meant by that, and their answer surprised you. What do you mean by
The first thing that came to my mind, it's been a long time ago, was when I was starting a coaching relationship with a business owner. And she was always tired and frustrated. And she finally said, "I just don't like what's going on." I said, "So what do you mean by that?" She goes, "I don't want to be the boss." I said, "You're the owner." "So what do you mean you don't want to be the boss?" And that's when we started talking about she quit doing a bunch of stuff that kept her happy because she thought she didn't have time. And that, that surprised me because I thought, why don't you want to be the boss?
Right.
She hung on to all the other nasty stuff.
She didn't want to, well, she wasn't all that nasty. That was the thing. She'd been in business 25 years, success. But she had stopped doing things that energized her. But she didn't realize that. She didn't know how else to word it.
That's a helpful phrase to remember. Let's continue. Video segment 3. Professor Palston will share 3 types of questions you can use when witnessing. Jot down the purpose for each type of question as he explains it.
By Greg Koukl called The Columbo Approach. Comes from a book by Greg Koukl called Tactics, a game plan for discussing your Christian convictions. The method is inspired by the rumpled, head-scratching detective on the old TV show who had the knack for being non-defensive and non-confrontational with his suspects.
I also removed it myself recently because I had second thoughts.
What do you mean by second thoughts?
He would maintain a posture of something like, "There's something I don't quite understand here. You gotta help me." In the conversations we're envisioning in this course, you can spend as long as you like asking the following questions in response to what people tell you in that same non-threatening way. What do you mean by? What does it mean when you say, or help me understand this? This is where you genuinely accept the burden of understanding and generously explore the other person's meaning. Why do you think that's true? How have you come to think that way? This is where you draw out the other person's story that seems to them to make their view of Christianity make sense. Or you call up whatever evidence or rationale is getting in the way for them. The third kind of question is when you ask, well, have you thought about such and such? This is where, if you are ready, you will last begin to introduce your message or the truth as it relates to the particular person before you. You're in no hurry to get here, of course. You do not need to be locked up in the fear of the possibility of not having any answer at all. The conversation may stray into things you've not deeply studied. For example, the overwhelming evidence for the resurrection of Jesus, or the overwhelming reasons to take the New Testament at face value. Let's say the person comes at you with misinformation about those issues, citing, for example, the so-called Gospel of Thomas, or the hallucination theory about the resurrection of Jesus. You need only say, if this happens to you, well, you've clearly thought more about this than I have. Do you mind if I look into that and we talk about this again? You've lost nothing. The whole while you were treating the other person with true kindness and genuine interest. You have modeled gentleness and respect. The value of Kukl's book is in draining the anxiety from those situations, helping you to understand that the goal is simply to get up to the plate, that is to be in those conversations. That's a win all by itself. And it can start right now. It can start today, no matter how much or little you think you know. You will learn so much from those encounters, and you will gain more and more good things to say over time. You will find more and more ways to, as Kukl says, put a stone in the shoe of the other person, in that third piece in which you are able to insert something that is reliable and true, as we know it from the Word of God, by simply saying, have you thought about this? Having listened out of a genuine desire to understand, you can ultimately learn to ask, have you thought about this? Let's give this a try. Please choose a partner as we role play using the Columbo approach. Each person will take a turn being the skeptic and also the witness. In this scenario, the skeptic's objection is one we discussed earlier, namely that he believes Christians are hypocrites. Now, when it's your turn to play the skeptic, ask yourself what might make a person come to believe that? What might they mean by that? And so as you play this role, play as a skeptic, also who is thoughtful and kind. In other words, I ask you to keep the role play light, rather than having strong feelings that can easily escalate and defeat this process. So stay calm, be nice. When you play the role of the witness, ask the what do you mean by that question just as often as you can think of a way to meaningfully ask it. Next, ask the how have you come to think this way question, as often as it seems to help to open up a worthwhile conversation and create understanding. If you do have a have you thought of this question to ask, by all means do so. Just don't be in any hurry to get there. Before trying this out for yourself, take a look at this short demonstration to give you an idea of how it might look. In this scenario, the skeptic's objection is that Christians are intolerant. So this is Jacob. Jacob is playing the role of a pretty serious skeptic about the Christian faith. And this is Leah. Leah is playing the role of the Christian witness who wants to be the best listener she can. Go ahead, Leah.
So Jacob, I've gotten the impression that you kind of have a problem with Christianity. Is that right?
Well, Christians are just so intolerant.
Okay, what do you mean by intolerant?
They're kind of a bunch of bigots.
Okay, I don't think I quite understand. What do you mean by, like, bigotry?
You know, closed-minded, judgmental.
Okay, so you notice that the listener can stay in this mode of listening just as long as she feels she needs to, just to understand what this person is trying to say and what he really means by it. At some point, she can transition to a new kind of question. So go ahead.
So what made you think that Christians are all judgmental and bigoted?
Well, there was this one girl at school who constantly would tell me that, God wasn't okay with what I was doing and try to push their views upon me, and I just wasn't comfortable with that.
Okay, I can see how that would be hard, but how did you come to think that this one girl represented all of Christianity?
Well, it wasn't just one girl. I mean, there were others who did similar things and were closed-minded and wouldn't necessarily always listen to what I had to say.
So again, you can see that Leah can stay in this mode just as long as she feels like she needs to. She's simply asking, how do you come to think this way? She's drawing out the story of how Jacob has come to hold these opinions. Now, if she's ready, she may actually transition to a third kind of question based on experiences maybe that she's had before. So go ahead, Leah.
So, have you thought about how you're looking at just a few people and using that to represent, your view of Christianity as a whole?
So the question is where she begins to interject her own point of view based on a really serious understanding of the person that she's listening to, that God willing can lead to a testimony. Take a few minutes now to role play the Columbo approach. Remember, your role play, the skeptic's position is that Christians are hypocrites. Please pause the video now as you give the Columbo approach a try. After you are done discussing, please resume the video.
All right, that's a great freeze frame, I think. The Columbo approach. Has anybody seen Columbo?
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen Columbo. I didn't know that was a thing. Fantastic. All right. So I know that this is very uncomfortable to some people. How many of you are eagerly looking forward to role-playing this Columbo approach?
I was gonna say, you should look it up, because,
I should look
you
it up?
did chew on a cigar.
Fantastic. Yeah, he did chew on a cigar. Fantastic. But I want to take this slow, and I want everyone to participate. So we're going to do it a little bit differently. We are all going to take turns. We're going to come up here, and two individuals are going to practice this Columbo approach in front of the class. Everybody is going to participate, and we're going to switch, and then we'll be able to all be in the same spot at the same time, at different times, and we will all talk about it together. So, Pappy, can I have you come up? Pappy, you are going to take the role of a skeptic. And Cindy, can I have you come up? And you are going to take the role of the listener. The way that this is going to work is, again, you're Columbo. There's something you don't get. And you know this person disagrees with you. But using these 4 questions, what makes you come to believe by that? Or what do you mean by that? Or how do you come to think this way? Or have you thought about this? That's what you're going to use to have a productive and fruitful conversation with this skeptic here.
Is there a particular skepticism I'm supposed to have?
Yes, the skeptic that you will have is, the church is full of hypocrites. That's your skepticism.
Okay.
Sound good?
You got this, Cindy.
All right. Any questions before we begin? After that, we'll switch. And we'll take 3 minutes per pair per turn. I will cut you off at the end of 3 minutes. Not to be rude, but just so that everybody has enough time to. Okay.
I think it
I don't mind if they go over to like 6 minutes.
Run away.
I've heard that you think our church, the church is full of hypocrites.
would.
Is
Isn't
that
it?
true?
Yeah, isn't it?
What makes you think that it is?
I know a bunch of people that go to a church, and believe me, they are not who they say they are.
You've had some bad experiences?
I've had some bad experiences, but it's mostly just by observing.
So what do you mean by bad experiences? What comes to mind?
Oh, I remember I got invited to this one church, and I was told to come relax. You don't have to dress up, tie and suit and all that stuff. And I had clean clothes on, and I came, and I had 3 people tell me I wasn't dressed appropriately. So, and that was before I even sat down. So I
That is
turned around and walked out. Obviously, I wasn't meant to fit there.
Mhm. Have you had that kind of experience at more than one church?
I figured that was enough. Why go through that again? I mean, that was embarrassing,
I can understand why you feel that way.
especially when one was the pastor.
All right, I'm stuck.
That's fine, that happens. Have you thought of, go ahead.
Well, have you thought of, have you thought of the fact that might just an exception? And that's not the general way that people in churches behave?
I had thought of that until a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, went to a different church and didn't have quite the exact same experience, but had a close enough experience to it that kind of cemented the idea in my mind. He went in, and there are all these pillows on pews, chairs, I don't know what to call them. And he sat down on a pillow. Thought that's what you're supposed to do. Some lady came up and said, "Get off the pillow and you're sitting in my seat." Oh, sorry. You had to move and realize that all these pillows.
And
were
stop.
reserved.
Wonderful, thank you. I know you were just settling in and getting going, but let's reflect. How did that feel? At first a little awkward, you did get stuck once, but it was just a conversation at the end of the day. There wasn't any animosity, any stress, it was just a conversation, right? And so that's what this approach facilitates. Observations from the class, what did we see?
Everyone's age calm, cool, collected.
Calm and cool.
Quite a skeptic.
Yeah, he's a great skeptic.
Well,
now-
for the record, none of that was a lie.
Yeah.
Now Cindy gets to play the part of the skeptic. So switch and go.
What she is skeptic of.
Of the church is full of hypocrites.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
Well, thanks for talking with me, Cindy. So, I go to a church, and that's important to me. So, what do you think of churches?
I believe that when I was younger, I think people who go really walk the walk.
What makes you say that?
Well, I've seen some people who go to church and some people who go to church act like they're good Christians, and then by their actions later in the week, you can tell they don't really believe that stuff. But just kind of putting on a front maybe for the rest of the people, or trying to impress friends or coworkers or whatever. It just seems like a service.
Do you struggle with the idea of things being surfacey type thing, or what? What does that react to you? How does that react to you?
I think that's really important. A lot of people go through life just trying to put on a good front and not actually behaving the way they say they believe.
So, if you were to look for a church or to go be part of a Christian community, what would be some of the things you would look for then? What would be some of the positive things that you would look for that would tell you that not everyone there is being that surfacey or that way?
I guess it'd be mostly observing to see if people really seem to act loving and open and friendly and present.
Would everyone have to be that way, or the majority? I mean, would you take a vote, 50, 40? I mean, help me understand what you would do.
I guess I wouldn't have them vote, right?
I
The
didn't mean it that way.
majority, I would expect, of course, the pastor and the people in leadership, and the majority of people, I would expect them to act like they really believe their faith.
Would you look, so how would that look in practice? Because I agree with what you're saying, and I just how would you give me an example of how that would look in practice? How would you know and see that?
Thank you. Again, I just feel like observing from week to week, not just hopeful and friendly one week and the next week.
And I'm going to cut you off there. Good job. Very good job. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Tell me, Pappy and Cindy, was it surprisingly easy to play the role of the skeptic? Why? Why do you think that is?
This may sound mean, but I have fun being the skeptic or the asking the question person.
The one who's got the contrary opinion,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
will. Yeah. It's easier to play in that role.
Did you think it was?
Okay.
No.
Maybe it's my
You like being the
personality.
devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I don't want to say devils, maybe Methodist advocate.
All right,
That's where it is in
fantastic.
church.
Sure.
All right. Who's next? Okay. Mom, I'll give you to come up here. And Kate.
I have faith
Oh, thank you. I go.
in you. You'll do fine.
You need it. There you go.
Hello. Hi.
Okay, Kate, you're playing the role of the skeptic. The church is full of hypocrites. Mom, you're playing the role of the active listener. Columbo, again, use these questions. What do you mean by that? How did you come to think that way? And if you reach a point where you want to present an opinion that you want them to think about, have you thought about it this way? Go ahead.
Okay. So, what, I would like to invite you to church. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm not interested. I mean, I think the church is full of hypocrites, so I'm not really interested in going.
And you're right, no go. That's it. I'm with you, let's get out of here. Well, what might make you think that?
Well, some of the people I work with say they're Christians, and like they just try to get away with doing the minimum of work, and they're not very nice to the members that come in. You know, they're supposed to be working, and they'll disappear for like 10 minutes at a time.
So they don't want that Christian walk, they say they're a Christian and they don't.
That's really what it seems like,
Act like
yeah,
a
so it kind of
Christian.
turns me off,
Sure.
trying to go to church.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. What would make you think of a Christian that wouldn't be a hypocrite?
Well, like that they work hard and be nice, showing love and kindness.
So do you think all Christians are like the ones at your work?
Well, of course, I haven't met all Christians. I guess maybe it's not fair to draw the conclusion that all Christians are like that because of a few that I know that are.
Because I don't think that all Christians would be like people at your work. I mean, that's my opinion, because I go to church, and I do know some loving Christians who walk the walk and talk the talk of kindness and gentleness. We're not all perfect. I'm not going to say that Christians are perfect. Just because you say you're a Christian, you're not perfect. But there's a lot of Christians that are kind and good and gentle and loving. And would you have any objections to giving church a try?
Well, I don't know, probably not for, I just have trouble getting past how those people act.
Fantastic. Okay, gonna cut you off mid-sentence. I know it's rude, but let's talk about what
Well, it was
happens.
ruthless. She said no, she would not give church a try.
Let's talk about it.
Not do it.
What did we see? Kind of the same thing?
Yeah, you know, but
Yeah.
people that we work with, basically,
People they work with,
Yeah.
basically,
you know,
the ones that turn them off to
Yeah.
Christianity. Okay. Very good.
So in church, I guess you're one way, and out in the world, you're another way.
Did we get to the have you thought about this? Yeah.
Well, I
How
tried
did
to
it-
make a suggestion.
How did it come out, Pappy? What did you see?
Instead of wording that as a question, it was more of, I want to say defense, and then she asked the question, you know, would you be willing to come to church? And I think a better way of wording it is, would you come with me and meet people who are not trying to be that way? Be more circumspect, maybe is better.
Okay. Well, that's
That
a
gives you
big-
a way out.
Because
All right,
she
let's-
asked a yes or no question, would you come, yes or no?
That's right. Yeah, that was a
Yeah, I hate when I
very
do
direct question, leading question. Let's stick to open questions. That's what we want to do in these conversations.
Yeah, I hate when I do that.
All right, switch.
I didn't need to do the open.
You get the fun part now, Mom, of playing the skeptic. The church is
No,
full of
that's not the
hypocrites.
fun part.
Keep it respectful. Give her some help if she needs.
She don't need any help.
Oh. Got you.
Both of you. Those are both of you.
All right.
So, all right, so you've said that you think the church is full of hypocrites. Can you tell me what you mean by that?
So, I do feel like the church is full of hypocrites because people who say they go to church don't act like they go to church.
So, what do you mean by that? How are they acting, or how, compared to how they should be acting?
Oh. They're kind of rude, or they use bad language. They say they go to church, but I have in my mind people who go to church should be good people, and they're not.
Are you basing that, that's a yes or no? Have you thought about whether it's fair to make the generalization that all Christians are hypocrites from just a few people that are acting rude and using bad language?
Well, they probably all are. Probably all are hypocrites.
Well, have you thought about whether you can really you said they probably all are, but do you think you can really make that jump from a few people to every Christian being a hypocrite?
Well, every Christian I've ever met is. I'm not. I'm not a hypocrite.
Okay, would you say you're a Christian?
No. No, not really, because I don't really go to church. That's why I don't go to church, because I'm not a hypocrite. I'm just a good person.
Well, have you,
What do you mean by good?
what do you mean by you're a good person?
I just try to do good every day, be nice to people. But then when I find out people, they say they're a Christian, they're the kind of rude ones.
All right,
So-
gonna stop you right there. I knew it was starting to develop into a real conversation. It was beautiful. Very well done. All right,
It's hard.
thank you. But that's why we practice in this safe environment among sisters and brothers, so that we get the experience. Yeah.
Do you think the whole key to not having it get heated is not to make any statements, only ask questions?
It's part of it, yeah. There are certain statements that can escalate, things like directives. You should do this, you should do that. That tends to stifle conversation. But things like, I know, I can tell that's important to you. Or things like, I can tell you've thought a lot about this. That keeps the conversation going.
So your statements would all be supportive.
Supportive, yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Not necessarily in agreement, though. So, not necessarily saying, you know what, you're right. But something like, you know what, Jesus cared about that too. So there's a statement that, hypocrisy is a sin. And Jesus cared about that too. He wanted his Christians to live genuine lives. Can I tell you about a time when Jesus taught his disciples this or that or whatever?
And I think going longer for 3 minutes and having a longer discussion with someone else, or meeting with that person more often. Like if you work with someone and you see them daily and you're having discussions with them here and there daily, I think that matters.
All right, very good job. But doesn't it feel better after doing it? You get the experience and it's not that bad. So, who wants to go next? Chad, thank you.
I'll debate with myself.
I'll go.
And Paul.
You mean a statement like hypocrites on both sides probably isn't good?
I'm sorry? Oh, there are hypocrites on both sides? No, but that's a good, have you thought about this? Have you thought about, is anyone actually not a hypocrite?
That's why I agreed with her right off the bat. It's like, you're exactly right. I'm with you.
All right, we're gonna get started. And Chad, you're going to take the position of the hypocrite. Paul, you'll take the position of the active listener, the Columbo approach, okay? Same prompts, the church is full of hypocrites. Go for it.
How's it going, Paul?
Good morning, I'm doing fine.
Been hearing it? Pretty decent. I've been hearing that you've been going to church. Is there any reason for that?
I've been going to church.
Yeah, I've been hearing that they're full of hypocrites, so I just wanted to talk to you about it.
How did you come to form a hypocritical view?
Everybody I see is just hypocrites. They say one thing, they mean another. They don't act the way they say they do.
Is it out in the community or the particular people that go to my church?
Community, people that I work with. I've never really been to church, so I don't know who goes to your church.
Never been. That's a lifelong thing for me.
Oh yeah?
Just grew up in the church, and I know that there's people with flaws there, but that's probably why they're in church. Is this something that you can get over, or form a different opinion, or have you tried?
Pause. Have you thought about this? Try that.
Have you thought about this?
Insert your statement. Have you thought about giving church a try?
Have you thought about giving church a try?
I mean, I've thought about it once or twice, but I just thought everybody that was Christian was supposed to be perfect.
How? How did you come to think this?
I'm an engineer.
I'm going to interject.
I feel bad. I feel like you're going to swap me.
I'm sorry.
Try. How have you come to think this way?
What's happened in your life? What type of experiences have you had that caused you to think this way?
I've never really grown up around any religion. No one's ever talked to me about it. And then again, I see these people that act like hypocrites, so I'm not really sure that's somebody I want to be around.
Seems to be a very strong opinion on this. Is there any flexibility in your thought?
I mean, I tend to be a open-minded thinker. I've never really spent much time around the church, and I've noticed this a few times. I see it more often than I don't, so it kind of makes me feel like maybe it's not the place for me.
Are you going to give it another try?
What if it doesn't go the way I want it to? Then I just wasted time.
I'll be there with you, answer your questions and concerns.
All right. I know we just started going. You were getting comfortable in your roles. Fantastic job. Good job. Thank you. So what I saw was, Paul, you mentioned you're the engineer. You wanted to fix the problem, right?
Yeah.
And this is about listening, hearing out the other person, finding out where their stories go. So, what were some of the feelings that you guys had in each of your roles?
I definitely felt persuaded, but I had to stay on my task.
Fantastic. So you were about to go to church with him?
Yeah, he said that he offered to go with me, and inside I'm like, yeah, I'll go.
Yeah. That's about the best way to invite, right? Make sure that they know that you will be there with them. You will walk with them, make sure all their questions are answered. So I thought Paul did a very good job on that one. All right, we're going to switch now. Paul, you get to be the hypocrite. And Chad, you get to be the... No, not the hypocrite.
Yeah.
You get to be the one saying everyone's a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Yes. The skeptic.
Yeah.
All right. Chad, I guess you're the hypocrite, because every Christian is a
yeah.
How did you know we're planning our daughter's wedding?
All right, go.
How's it going, Paul?
I'm doing fine today, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. How's your day going?
It's going pretty good. I just got done with church, and just praise God, having a great day. Have you ever thought about going to church?
I have, but my past experiences say that the makeup of the people there is hypocritical.
Can I ask what experiences you've had in the past?
Well, it just, you see people that are participating in church and may have roles in the church, but their lifestyle on the outside has really generated concern for me.
Okay, okay. Can I ask anything in particular, like, that would make you feel that way? Like, they just don't spend enough time with the church, they don't volunteer enough?
No, it's not that.
Is it just like lifestyle decisions?
Lifestyle decisions outside the church.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to jive with what my impression of a church goer should be.
Okay, okay. I tell you what, I know Sunday's supposed to be a beautiful day. What do you have going? You got some yard work to do? You got some spring cleanup to do around?
I got a pole barn to come.
Okay. How about this? Sunday morning, you come to church with me. After church, I'll come over to your house, we'll clean your pole barn together. My pastor, Max, he's fantastic. He's laid back, down to earth. You'd love him.
Do they have Starbucks and Krispy Kreme donuts there?
They've definitely got some donuts. You could get some diabetes when you leave there.
Well, we may be on to something.
Fantastic, give them a round of applause, thank you. And let's reflect, what did we see? What do you think was good?
Building a relationship.
Building a relationship. Yeah, and how did you think that happened?
Humor.
Humor, yeah, fantastic. What else did we see that was good? Both of them were very respectful.
The idea of fixing something, I think that's something that all of us try, well, I've only got a few minutes, I better make this count, and it's not how it goes, it's not
Correct.
rough.
No, there's no rush. Exactly. And like we mentioned, this doesn't have to be the last conversation you have with them. If you don't get to the message that you are trying to get to, that you really want to, that's okay. You might not get there. It might just be about hearing where they're coming from and their story. Yeah.
I feel like if it's too rushed, then it might do more damage than good.
Definitely.
And maybe it could be not even like a 1 or 2 conversation thing. It could be planting a seed and then having a few conversations and watering it each time. Kind of checking in to see how they feel.
Yeah. All right. Who's next?
Good job.
Good job. Thank you.
Thanks for coming to church next Sunday.
I'll be there Thursday and Friday.
Don, you come up. And Becky.
You got this.
Yeah, cheer team. Running around.
We're watching you in the nursery, but we wish we could hear you all better. Is there a microphone we can give to the...
No, but I can turn up the mic here.
Oh, Rachel was very excited that Chad was going
I
up there.
volunteered.
Did you? I will tell her.
Mommy, look at the rest.
Okay, let's go back.
So there's something more to this conversation that
Where
you're
is
trying to
Annie?
get to.
Did she go back
Something that
already?
you need their help to understand. Becky, you're going to play the role of the skeptic, and your prompt is the Bible is full of myths. That's your prompt. The Bible is full of myths. Go.
How are you today? I'm pretty good, thank you. I understand that you have some concerns about the Bible not being true, the Word of God, instead of calling it myths.
Yes, well, I was reading the Bible and just things, they just
sound like untrue, like all these, I read like the plagues, I mean, how could that happen? I mean, that could never happen, that just sounds like make-believe. I mean, how can you believe something like that?
What do you mean by make-believe?
Well, I mean, things like that don't happen today. I mean, you know, or like Jesus rising from the dead. I mean, somebody's dead and you don't see me. I mean, how could that happen?
Was there a specific reason you feel this way?
Well, I know some people that I mean, my neighbors, they go to church every Sunday and they, you know, and they talk about these things as if they're really true, and I just don't understand how they can base their faith on things like that.
Have you discussed this with them?
No, I just don't know even where to start. I mean, it just seems so unbelievable.
Start at the beginning. What is the first place in the Bible you feel is a myth?
Well, I started reading about the creation. I mean, how could that be? I mean, I just don't understand it.
Do you think talking with your neighbors, working with them with the Bible would give you a clear understanding and dispel some of the myths?
Well, I think that is a good idea. Maybe I should have a chat with them. They are very friendly people.
Yeah, and if you continue to have some concerns worth working with them, you're welcome to come back and we can talk and work through some things as well.
Oh, well, thank you.
Pause. Fantastic. All right, well done, both of you. Did you settle into your roles okay? It seemed very comfortable for both of you. What did you see, class? Reflections.
Respectful concern.
Very respectful concern. You had some, you know, honest, not honest, but very common feelings about the Bible being full of myths. So that definitely is something that occurs in America today. Was it hard to play this role?
I used to have to speak in front of 200 people.
Okay, let's switch. So, Dawn, you'll take the role of the skeptic. The Bible is full of myths. And Becky, you're playing the role of Columbo, trying to understand, and you know there's something missing. And if there's time, get to have you thought of this, and then present your message. Go.
Well, I wanted to invite you to church. We're having a special Sunday on Sunday. Can you come with me?
I really am not into church. I feel the church is full of hypocrites.
What can you tell me more about why you feel it's full of hypocrites?
They always go back to the Bible. And the Bible, for me, is full of myths. How can an individual create everything in the world in 6 days? It just doesn't seem believable.
It doesn't seem believable. Have you thought of, well, the Bible is a special book. What makes you think that it's unbelievable?
Because science nowadays believes in evolution. And just one man creating the world does not go along with that. Mm-hmm. It's a totally counter choice.
Mm-hmm.
What? Have you thought of God?
Have you thought about
God being more powerful.
You would have to show me. I'm very skeptical about one person.
Well, I'd like to invite you to church and our pastor can tell you about this God that, and help you to clear up some of these problems with that you see.
Would it be a heavy-handed approach, or would it just be a light discussion?
Well, he would meet you where you're at, you know, help you, you know, you can tell him exactly what problems you have with the situation and.
Okay. Will you be there?
I can be there, sure.
Okay. If you want to go, I'll go too.
Okay,
And see what we can figure out.
And stop. Everybody give Don and Becky a hand. Thank you. Now, Dawn was the skeptic of skeptics. She threw Becky a couple of curveballs, but it's important to remember that not all conversations are just going to be cut and dry. So, what skeptical opinions did Dawn have? She had two. One was the church is full of hypocrites, and the second one was the Bible's full of myths. Yep. And what did we see Becky do with that? Yeah. What did we see her do before that, though? Yeah. She asked questions, right?
Trying to understand the bigger picture.
And trying to get her to understand the bigger picture. Yep. So very well done.
After all the questions.
Was it respectful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And
okay.
really hard.
Yeah, and very difficult.
And
yes.
she was the, like, there are people just like that.
Yeah.
In this world, like.
Very
it's like,
rigid.
I don't believe any of that because science proves it all to be, the whole Bible to be wrong, and it's like.
All right. Who would like to go next? I see Greg. And I see Sue.
Yeah.
Sue hasn't had a turn
Not a
yet.
good plan.
That's a perfect plan.
I won't twist your arm.
No.
I won't twist your arm, but this would be valuable for everyone to do. Are you willing to do it?
No.
Okay. Greg, come on up. And I'll go with you.
That is a better plan.
I don't know if that's good, but.
Yeah, but Sue, doesn't that happen within families?
Oh, yeah.
So,
A great plan.
All right. Greg will we'll start you off by playing the role of the skeptic. And your prompt is we'll just do the Bible is full of myths again. Is that okay? Okay. All right. Hey Greg, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good.
Hey, I wanted to invite you to church. On Sunday, it's going to be Easter. You got anything going on?
Well, I think we're going to do an Easter egg hunt sometime in the morning, but that's about it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Well, we celebrate Jesus' resurrection on Easter Sunday. We'd love to have you. Our church believes in the Bible and everything that it teaches, and we know that Jesus is our only hope. What do you say?
Well, the problem I have is that the Bible really is subject to a lot of questions. I mean, I've read some things that regarding the authors, who actually wrote the Bible, when was it written, why was it written the way it was. There seems to be a lot of contradictions and misinformation there, and I just have a problem with it.
Okay, I'm fascinated. So you said you did some reading?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, there's a lot of information out there regarding the relation between the Bible and science, archaeology has proven some things that are in the Bible, but the real miracles, like the parting of the Red Sea, the plagues in the Old Testament, and even the resurrection, we're counting on things from 2,000 years ago or more. We're looking at written documents. Are they valid? I don't know.
Yeah, I can tell you've thought a lot about this. I know you're an intelligent guy. Have you thought about the way that we form our understanding of history? And what I mean by that is, have you ever thought to apply the same scrutiny that we use for our historical books and George Washington to the Gospels and stuff like that?
It's difficult. It's difficult given the big time difference between us. You can look at American history and we look at 250 years as opposed to over 2,000 years. And on the other side of the world, it's not an easy thing, and so I have chosen to be knowledgeable about some of these things, but in terms of faith, I'm not sure.
Well, I love the knowledge, and I too am interested in history, and I love looking at historical books and context and things like this, but I want to go back to that discussion about time and the distance relative to the event happening. So have you thought about how we form opinions about people like Alexander the Great, or people like ancient Roman emperors?
Yeah, I love history, and it's apparent that a lot of things we hear about the Roman emperors, or that we hear about Alexander the Great, for example, they're pretty much steeped in myth too. There are more facts maybe regarding those individuals because there was a lot of records kept, but there's still a lot of questionable stories about Alexander the Great, even when he went into this battle and he saw the sign of the cross, and he knew that he would win the battle. And then after that he converted to Christianity, supposedly. I've also read that he was a pagan until the day he died.
Oh, so. Interesting. I have no idea about any of that. Say, would you mind if we continue this conversation a little bit later and I look into some of these things?
Sure.
Fantastic. I'm going to end us there. So we kept going. What did you notice? Good, bad?
Now I know why Sue did not go.
Better you than me to go on against her. Better you than me going against Pastor.
Well, what did you notice? To me, the conversation felt very slow. There were times where I really wanted to just get my information out there, to get my message to him, and be like, believe, you know? It's miraculous, like that's the amazing part, is it doesn't fit into...
But you were engaged,
Mm-hmm.
and you were asking good questions, and agreeing is not the right word, what's the word, like you were,
Support.
yeah, like, not
Interested is how I would describe it. I was interested genuinely in the things
Yeah.
that he had read and
I
studied.
guess it's not really reflective listening.
But you were
But it's-
drawing
it's
out
similar.
more information from him, you were drawing out, like, tell me more, you even said that, tell me more.
Pastor, I thought you played a pretty strong hand right out of the gate.
Yeah, yeah. I know, I had to dial it back. I know. I have that very direct tendency, right? To be like Peter, just get up there and preach. But we've got to be more patient. Go ahead, Chad.
I noticed that that conversation ended quite a bit different than a lot of the other ones, where like we had a goal to get someone to say yes, or we had a goal to get someone to say, yes, I believe, or yes, I'll come to church. Whereas with you, it was just kind of a, hey, I wanted to spread a little bit of info, I'll look into it. And then you said, I'll look into it and I'll come back, so you're already opening yourself up for a second or a third conversation.
Which is probably a realistic, again, a probably realistic approach, because it'd be wonderful if the first time you talked to someone that you were able to make the connection, but
And have him come to church.
yeah.
Okay, let's switch. You ready?
Well, I don't know, it's a lot easier to do.
Do you want a 3-minute timekeeper?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do. And be judicious. Okay?
Well, good morning, guys.
Good morning, Greg. How are you, my friend?
Oh, well, I'm just great. This has been a busy week. We've been we've had so many things going on at our church. We had a Lenten service Wednesday night. We had a funeral that we attended.
Yeah, things have been really busy for me too.
And
Work has been crazy, man.
yeah.
Like, and did you see the stock market? Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
believe me, I keep my eye on the stock market. It's pretty bad, but, you know, I think that we, or at least speaking for myself, I always like to keep a little bigger perspective, and I will tell you that's one thing that the church really helps me do.
Church?
Yeah.
The Bible's just full of a bunch of myths.
Oh. Well,
I mean, David and Goliath, please.
and why would you say that that's a myth?
Oh, a man who's 9 feet tall, carrying 75 or whatever pound spear? It's ridiculous. 300 pounds of armor? Like, it was obviously adjusted and changed to make him seem bigger, and maybe there's some kernel of truth in the Bible, some deeper truth, but pretty much all religions have that, so. I didn't know this about you. You believe in the Bible?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Okay, great for you.
And are you familiar at all? I mean, you said that the Bible's full of myths. Do you know any other stories in there? What else? Do you
I've
think
read the
might
whole
be in
Bible.
it? You have.
Of course. Yeah, it's just like, you know, Aristotle in the clouds. It's like Greek philosophy, Persian philosophy. You know, they're all sort of one path to the same God. But in terms of actually happening, things like that don't happen.
I see her right over my shoulder here, I'll tell her that you're her right now.
Well, see, my experience has been somewhat different than that. And I'd be more than happy to tell you about that. But let me ask you another question. if you, have you given any thought to an afterlife? What happens to us when we die?
No, I haven't really thought about that. I mean, who likes to think about death, right? I mean, it's about today, living today.
All right.
This will be the last reflection. What did we see? Did I take it easy on him?
No.
No.
Did he do great?
Yeah. But that's not easy.
What did you find? Oh, by the way, I was channeling the atheist skeptic that lived behind us at in St. Paul when I lived there.
Yeah, I can tell.
So that's his name is
Yeah,
Josh.
the whole Bible.
Yeah, he was a great conversationalist, friendly guy, you know. But sometimes he would just say things to see how I would react.
Yeah.
You may find that as well. People know a little bit about what Christians believe.
Yeah.
So they might just be like, do you really believe God created the world in 6 days?
It's so weird that they could read the whole Bible and it not have any effect on them. But did they read the Bible?
That's the other question.
Or what did they read? I mean, there's some translations out there that are low on substance.
There's one thing that Greg particularly did well, and it threw me off. Did you catch what he asked at the end? What did he ask?
About that.
Yeah. Have you thought about the afterlife? I honestly thought he was gonna go into
Good job.
historicity or into authors or central message of the Bible, but you got to.
And the reason I did that was because I'd already mentioned I'd been to a funeral, and if we would have continued this, I would have said, well, death is a part of life.
Yeah.
We can't deny it, and then talk about the funeral and everything that goes along with that. So.
Fantastic. All right, give him a round of applause. Thank you.
One more thing. Yeah. The church is full of hypocrites, but there's always room for one more.
All right, we're going to end it there. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for being there for us when we don't have the answers. Help us to be humble, to speak with others this week, to meditate on your passion, what you've done for us and for the entire world by dying on the cross and bearing the sins of all people of all time. Let that truth motivate the way that we interact with others so that we can see them in heaven. Amen. All right, thank you all. See you next